Harry's Wife, Part 102.54. The Red Flags Harry Missed. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Narcissists demonstrate many red flags. You can learn more about what they are during Seduction in my excellent book, Red Flags. You can also learn about the others that exist when the abuse is starting in another of my books, Black Flags. You can find those in the Knowledge Vault, which is in the menu bar at narcsite.com, link in the video description, or you'll find them on Amazon, amongst my many other books. Harry hadn't read my books. If he had, he might not have got himself into this mess. Harry missed a number of red flags. What are they? Well, they range from the ones that we know about, and there'll also be other red flags that we don't know about, but can safely say will have been there, quite simply as a consequence of the fact that he's involved with a narcissist, and the type of narcissist that he's involved with will have exhibited these, even though they may not have been reported upon. Harry missed the warning that he received from his brother and his grandfather, from Prince William and Prince Philip. Prince William warned him to slow down. A relationship proceeding at pace is a red flag. Now, remember that when I talk about red flags, that doesn't mean of itself that this means that you're dealing with a narcissist. It means you might be. No one red flag means you're dealing with a narcissist. You have to look at them in aggregate over a period of time, over a range of behaviours. So, for example, if you go on a date and the man that you are with is excessively overly polite, always asking, are you okay, are you enjoying yourself, opening the car door, closing the car door, opening the door to the restaurant, every time you rise to go to the bathroom, he stands up and so forth. Does this mean he's a narcissist? No. It's a red flag, however, because the level of politeness is over and above what it ought to be, normally. If there are no other red flags, then it's quite simply this is a person who might be an empath or a normal, and he's just excessively polite, and that's it. But of course, if we saw more and more red flags, that would support the fact that he would be a narcissist, and this one particular red flag of excessive politeness sits with all of the other ones. Remember, not all red flags are apparent with all narcissists. There are different types of narcissists, different subschools as per my framework. Understand more about that in the video, the Ultra Framework. And therefore be aware that just because certain red flags don't appear in a relationship doesn't mean that person can't be a narcissist. It might mean there are other ones there. With Harry, he missed the warning from his brother. The fact that the relationship was moving so quickly was an indicator that there was a narcissist at work. Also, the comments made by his grandfather about one doesn't have a relationship with an actress, one steps out with them, was his way of saying that this isn't the basis of a healthy relationship, young man. But he didn't listen. And I'll explain in due course why he failed to do so. A substantial red flag was the alienation that occurred between Harry's wife and her half-siblings, and especially her father. The fact that she has no relationship with them, that she has nothing to do with them, are significant red flags, including the fact, of course, that Harry has never met his father-in-law. Undoubtedly, she will have made disparaging comments about them, smearing them. Another red flag. He hasn't, as far as I am aware, met the extended members of the Ragland family either. Another red flag. Harry's wife's behaviour with regard to her previous husband, Trevor Engelson, was a red flag with regard to the returning of the rings, the method by which it was done. The mirroring behaviour that she engaged in their early dates, liking the things that he likes, as described by Tom Bauer in his book Revenge. Those are red flags. The fact that he got involved in a blind date, that it wasn't somebody that he had met through a social scene or through some kind of involvement in a charity, but the fact is that this person came out of nowhere. It's also a red flag. The fact that she didn't want to, in the early stages of their relationship, overshadow Pippa Middleton's wedding was a red flag. The arrogance of suggesting that everybody would be looking at Harry's wife rather than Pippa Middleton, and therefore that she wasn't going to attend, was a red flag. The fact that only one family member attended their wedding was another red flag, linking in to the familial alienation that I mentioned earlier. Her contradictory behaviours. One day she's vegan, the next she's eating meat, roasting that chicken. Again, that is a red flag. The claim that she'd never heard of Prince Harry just simply doesn't stack up, and as we know now, was a lie. The fact that they met in July 2016 and by December 2016 she was wearing a gold necklace with M and H just simply 5 months after meeting, and the objectification that's exhibited within that is a further red flag. The fact that she spoke about Prince Harry in a magazine interview when she was expressly told not to was another red flag. The fact that they became engaged in just over a year of meeting is another red flag. The speed of the involvement that Prince William was warning him about. The reaction of his aunts, Diana's sisters, where they didn't effectively warm to her and said that she's not somebody that was like Diana, was also a red flag. There are undoubtedly more besides, but those, and there's a good dozen or so there already, of red flags that would suggest that something wasn't right, and the thing that wasn't right was, of course, was that he was being ensnared by a narcissist. There will also be other red flags that haven't been reported on, but, as I explained earlier, undoubtedly occurred. Why? Because this is what narcissists do, and the type of narcissist that Harry's wife is, mid-range, would engage in. She would have mirrored. Not only did she mirror Diana in terms of the wearing of the perfume, the way that she dressed, mannerisms, and the supposed compassion that Harry's wife has, modelling herself on the compassion that Diana truly had, she also will have mirrored Harry in terms of the places that he enjoys going to. Notice how she talked in such high terms about going to Botswana. Have they bothered with it since? She kiboshed his desire to perhaps go and live in Africa, where he felt most at home. Instead, she dragged him to the United States instead. The mirroring of his likes and those of his mother will undoubtedly have occurred, and are red flags. She will have complimented him, telling him how handsome he is, how muscular he is, what a big schlong he has, how interesting he is, how brilliant he is at certain things. And it would have been excessive. Mid-range narcissists do that. They have a cognitive empathy which enables them to go into overdrive with the compliments because they're infatuated with the victim. And their narcissism causes them to talk about all of the wonderful and brilliant things that occur. The language she will have used will have contained many red flags. She'll have spoken about, you're my soulmate, you complete me, you are the one that only gets me, the others in the past haven't done. There's something about you that makes me feel so special that nobody else has ever been able to do, and words to such effect. All part of the magical thinking, all part of the infatuation that the narcissist experiences to drive them to ensnare this hapless victim. Undoubtedly, there will have been excessive sex. Now, of course, many people, when they first start a relationship, they're at it like rabbits, having the old Ugandan affairs, doing the old hide the sausage, often, and then it eases off. However, with a narcissist, there is the honeymoon period and more. Sex, and more sex. She'll let you do anything that you want, Harry apparently said. Not only lashings of spicy poontang, but undoubtedly the flexibility and breadth of sexual behaviour engaged in. Now, not all narcissists do this, particularly those of victim and cerebral cadre, but elite and especially somatic do, and Harry's wife falls within the somatic cadre. She, of course, would put out, and put out, and put out, and in so doing, the excessive level of sex provided, its frequency, and the things that they did together were red flags. She will have monopolised his time when they were together. Now, to begin with, of course, it was a long-distance relationship, so they weren't around the corner from one another. But she'll have monopolised his time when they were together, just doing everything together, preferring that just to be the two of them, rather than meeting other people. And of course, this all appears like cozy nights in, when actually it's imprinting herself on him, causing him to be conditioned to her behaviours, thinking, I don't want to spend time with anybody else. Indeed, foregoing the things that he once did in order to accommodate being with her. And even when they were apart, undoubtedly, there'll have been long telephone calls, repeated messages, as she hoovered and hoovered and hoovered him. These are all the things that a narcissist would do and engage in, and undoubtedly she will have done with him because of the type of narcissist that she is. And whilst this has not been reported on, take it from me, I know my kind, these are the things that will have occurred. There are a multiplicity of red flags, and Harry didn't see them. Why? Well, whilst he's not the brightest of individuals, it actually doesn't really matter about that. Not so much. Because I know so many very intelligent people who've been ensnared by narcissists. Many of my clients are professors, scientists, CEOs, academics, people in high-up positions in government agencies, people with degrees coming out of their ears, people who are articulate and intelligent, yet they became ensnared. Intelligence is no defence. And also, being somewhat dim-witted isn't automatically the fact that you're going to get caught out either. The fact is, he was caught because, one, he will not have known the red flags to begin with. He wasn't imbued with the knowledge. Secondly, his own emotional thinking and the presence of the golden period will have caused him to miss any that he might have spotted. He will not have known about narcissistic red flags, but he might have had a bit of a gut feeling of, whoa, that was a bit much, or gosh, she's ringing me a lot, isn't she? But his emotional thinking, wanting him to remain engaged with this narcissist, would tell him, but it's only because she's really into you. Isn't it lovely that she thinks you're so special? And therefore, any wariness would be melted by this. Furthermore, he's being treated well. He's in the golden period as she seduces him, complimenting him, saying how she understands him, she understands what it's like to be an outsider, that she understands his genetic pain, that he needs to use his voice, encouraging him, supporting him with false compassion, using his vulnerabilities against him by apparently appearing supportive. At long last, even though he's not going to be king, someone recognises him as a king of his own kingdom. She is the one. And a combination of his rampant emotional thinking caused by his own addiction to narcissists, combined with the presence of the golden period, means that any red flag that might have appeared with regard to her behaviour would have been dismissed, would not have been acted upon. Furthermore, of course, even if he might happen to have said something to her, such as, "Why do you not speak to your father?" her narcissism would have quashed that potential threat to control by explaining, "He's a horrible man, he's just in it for himself," and probably smearing him with some rather unsavoury allegations. Therefore, Harry, with a choice between this person who's treating him wonderfully and then hearing about a chap he's not yet met who's just been smeared, is naturally going to think, oh, right, well, I believe what she has to say. Why would I not want to believe this person who treats me wonderfully? And so what, I've not met him, no biggie. He sounds like a horrible person. She tells me he is, and she must be right because she's so wonderful and treats me so well. And that's how people are duped. His continuing emotional thinking doesn't cause him to look at it logically. Doesn't cause him to even ask, well, you may say that, but I'd like to hear his side of the story, please. Or I'd like to speak to your half-siblings to find out what they've got to say about it. But he doesn't. Why? Because she would react with alarm. Why do you need to go and do that? Oh, do you not trust me? And the potential threat then of losing that individual causes the victim to go, no, it's okay. I don't need to speak to him. It was just a thought. And they back down. The threat of losing this seemingly wonderful person invariably always causes anybody, even if they've got this far, to think about checking up on them, to back off. Similarly, if he said to her, why on earth did you send the wedding ring and engagement ring back to Trevor by FedEx? It was a little bit harsh, isn't it? She'd have had some seemingly plausible explanation for that. Or even would have gone, oh, we don't want to speak about Trev. Come here and let me unzip those kecks of yours and let's get out Big Harry. And thus, deflected by some spicy poontang, he forgets the question that he was asking about why she behaved in the way that she did with Trevor Engelson. Accordingly, Harry didn't know about the narcissistic red flags. The relationship ones that he might have had an awareness to, he simply didn't act upon and ignored because of a combination of his emotional thinking, the application of the golden period, and her narcissism operating to nullify any potential threats to control, even if he did start to think something isn't quite right here. Thus, these are the red flags that Harry missed and the reasons why. This is fundamental information for you to take on board and to share with other people. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.